It's 1 minute till showtime. Please remember to replace the speaker on the post when you leave the theater. Settle back now, content, comfortable, well-fed, and ready for some fine entertainment. Is everybody happy? Then let's go. It's showtime.
Welcome to episode 17 of the Silver Screen Scarehouse with Lisa and Linnie. I'm your host Lisa, and with me, of course, is my co-host Linnie.
Hello.
When you come to the Scarehouse, we'll be reviewing 3 movies. We may not always agree, but as lifelong film fanatics, you'll get honest opinions from 2 different sides of the aisle, followed by an old-fashioned knives up, knives down final rating. This week, Linnie and I are going to be chatting about Bloodlands, Torment, and The Final Girl. Shall we start with Bloodlands?
Sure, we can do that. Bloodlands, originally called White Settlers, is set during the Independence Reformation in Scotland, which was just last year. It's about a married couple who decide they want to get away from their busy, stressful lives in London and move to somewhere more peaceful. So they think that they have found that in Scotland, but it turns out that Scotland is not all that welcoming to English settlers, which is why the title White Settlers probably didn't make a lot of sense to American audiences. So, of course, things get pretty nasty, and it's basically a home invasion film. But it's a very politically and regionally specific home invasion film. So, yeah, Lisa, I'm excited to hear what you thought about this one.
Well, I had wanted to see this back when I saw the trailer when it was called White Settlers.
Right.
So, happy to know it's on Netflix under a less confusing name. It also starts out saying that it's based on true events, which is usually really exciting for me for some reason.
Yeah.
And I felt like everything was there. For me, this was one of those movies where all of the ingredients were there, but for some reason they didn't add up to anything I cared about.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Well, I mean, home invasion works for me really well because it's a legitimate fear, and it's creepy. They're out in the middle of nowhere. It's dark. There's weird noises, and everything goes at the correct pace. And the people are wearing pig masks, which is just unsettling for whatever reason. And she's really good at playing, scared, but then she's a badass in a really realistic way. But for some reason, at no point was I terrified for her or anybody. And it just, I don't know, it never got under my skin. And that's what I need those movies to do.
Yeah, I think Pollyanna McIntosh, whenever you see her in a movie, you know that she's never going to be a wilting flower. I mean, she's not built that way. I've never seen her in a film where she fades into the background. She's a very strong presence. So I just don't think it's possible for her to ever expect that she's going to be any less than a badass in the long term. Yeah, I think, again, this is a very regionally specific film. I think if you haven't been living with that very stressful sense of discord that was going on during the independence that Scotland was trying to put through, I don't know that it's going to resonate the same way with us. We haven't really had anything like that happen here since the Civil War. So it's kind of hard to relate. It's if you kind of get lost in the politics of it, which is what made it really interesting for me, and the history aspect of it. If, for me, I watched the reason that I enjoyed it, and again, I watched it too. I watched it when it was under the original title, long before they had switched it up for here. So I watched it more as a lesson in history than a horror film, I guess. Um, it's it's a very standard home invasion film if you look at it through that lens. But if you apply it to the lens of what was going on in Scotland and in England at that time, I think it gives it that little extra push that made it more interesting for me. And generally, anything that Pollyanna McIntosh is in that doesn't involve Lucky McKee, I'm on board with, because I really love her, but I absolutely hate him. So it automatically had a little extra love for me just for that. But, in terms of something original, I think it is different just because of the lens that it's presented through, and for that reason, that was really why I think I enjoyed it more. Because I'm not big on home invasion films. They're not my favorite. And I don't know if it's because that is a trigger for me. I'm a compulsive lock checker. I'm always side-eyeing anyone coming near my door. So I don't enjoy them particularly. But again, it was that little extra realism to it that made it interesting for me.
Well, I guess coming at it from a more political, historical point of view would be interesting. But it was marketed as horror, so...
Yeah, exactly. I think that was the damage done to it by re-releasing it with the far more generic title and not really connecting it to people here through what it was initially intended as, because I'm going to have to pull it up now. The original poster had something on it that said the film that inspired a referendum or something like that, which...
Oh.
Yeah, see, I find that kind of hard to believe. I feel like maybe it's the other way around. I can't believe that this particular film suddenly made a bunch of people in Scotland go, well, screw those Londoners, now we want our independence. Like, I find that very hard to believe. But, just, if you're looking for a super, super original home invasion film, I don't think that this is it. But if you look at it as a snapshot in time for history in the United Kingdom, I think it succeeds on that pillar. So for me, this one was a knife up.
I gave it a sideways because they sold it as horror. The poster looks like horror, and there's a shot that's basically stolen right on out of your favorite film, High Tension. So... bleh. Although I liked the end. The feeling it gave me at the very, very end was unsettling in a good way. But, I mean, yeah, sideways. Watch it.
Yeah, it's definitely worth seeing once. Whether or not you ever watch it again, questionable. But, yeah, absolutely. So next, one that there was no faltering on is The Final Girls.
Oh my gosh, The Final Girls is actually, this just came out onto VOD this week, so you're gonna have to pay for this, you guys, but it's really, really good. And it is about, I was not prepared, a young woman is grieving the loss of her mother. She's a famous green queen from the 1980s. So this young woman finds herself pulled into the world of her mom's most famous movie, and reunited, the women must fight off the film's maniacal killer. This is probably the sweetest horror movie I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's... Oh, hush your face. Elliot agrees. It is so good. It's definitely kind of that cliche of the love letter to horror, but it totally is, because it absolutely gets 80s slasher films in the best possible way. And on top of that, it's also, it's such a sweet mother-daughter film, which brought up a lot of feels for me. But, yeah, I mean, I found myself happy tears, sad tears, scared. I mean, it really hits all these, these boxes that you don't get from horror movies a lot, while still being a really excellent horror movie.
Yeah, I mean, I would like it if it wasn't touching. It's a good film, but the parts that are really emotional are really effective, and it's not just because we have uterus. I was speaking to other people on Twitter, and the men were like, "Oh, this made me cry."
Yeah.
It's really good, and I think a lot of it is because Malin Ackerman, I mean, when she does her dance, Betty Davis eyes, if you're not crying, I don't know what's wrong with you.
Oh my God. So, I mean, it's terrifying, and she's so beautiful, which is, I mean, I love her as an actress in general. Everything I've ever seen her in, she plays every part she does so well. But the connection between her and Thaisa Farmiga in that scene is just really intense and so just gorgeous and sad. And I can honestly say I have not seen a horror film in a long time that manages to be a bit of everything. It's like there's so many films that try to be that, but the other film that I can think of off the top of my head was Stage Fright, that it tried to be sweet and it tried to be funny and it tried to be scary and it kind of didn't quite make it there, but this absolutely does. It was amazing.
The Stage Fright with Meatloaf, to clarify.
Yes, the most recent Stage Fright.
It missed out on the touching part. It tried to be, but everything else I thought was great. But Final Girls it's funny and sweet, and when she's doing her dance, somehow she's sweet, sexy, and sad. Now I don't know how you do that, but she did it.
Right.
You know what? I think she took some of the power from Tom Cruise when she kissed him. That's what I think. Yeah.
Oh, right, Rock of Ages. I had to think about that for a minute. Oh God, I hope she's not imbibed with Xenu. That would be really disappointing.
No, she is sweet and lovely, and this slow motion scene kind of rules the world.
Yeah, I mean it's so well made too. It's beautiful, and obviously it's very, very meta. But there's this great scene right at the end, without giving anything away, where two of the characters are kind of trapped in the actual end of the film, where it replays the rating and the movie starts kind of wrapping up like an actual film reel. It's so cool. Like it's meta in the best possible way. It's not winky, it's not obnoxious, it's not trying to make you feel stupid for not getting all of its jokes, which is what I think meta has really largely become. I feel like this movie really takes meta to the place that it's supposed to be, where it brings you into the world and reminds you why you love the genre so much.
Yeah, for me, I guess, kind of like the first Scream, how Randy did the meta stuff, that was endearing about it and not annoying.
Right.
Like, oh, yeah, and just all the stereotypes, and just everybody Adam Devine, Devine or Divine?
Divine, I think. Yeah.
Well, where has he been my whole life? This guy who plays Kurt is hilarious.
The only thing I know him from is Pitch Perfect.
Well, I would not watch that. So
yeah, I know.
Final Girls, I watched it twice. I would watch it every day, and it made me cry like a baby, and it makes men cry, and it's really super awesome. And so despite everything we said about the feels, it looks cool, it's clever, it's smart. I mean, what else do you want?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, major knives up for Final Girls. And I don't know about other places, but I know that it's still playing in theaters in Seattle. So if you have the opportunity to see it in a theater, I would really recommend it. I feel like that experience must be awesome.
Oh, definitely. With a group, if you are one of those people who knows people in the city you live in that watch horror films, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I would, unfortunately, the next few weeks are crazy, or I would absolutely go see it at the theater while it was still there. But if you can't make it to a theater, if it's not playing near you, it is on VOD. So you have no excuse not to check it out. So, yay, Final Girls! All right, our last film, significantly less yay, at least for me, is a 2013 thriller horror called Torment. You may recognize this movie because it looks like it has a demented Mickey Mouse on the cover of it. Newlyweds and their young son find themselves at the mercy of sadistic madmen who secretly took up residence in their remote country home. Lisa, you go first.
Okay. First of all, this is not to be confused with another movie called Tormented that also has a strange animal-type mask on the cover. It almost looks the same. It's the same thing. There's some sort of epidemic of home invasion movies set in out-of-the-way houses, and the intruders are all wearing animal masks. I don't know what this is about. I feel like we could maybe blame your next, but I don't know.
They actually came out around the same time.
Well, and your next is actually old. It was sat on the proverbial shelf, so I don't even know. It doesn't. I just feel like at this point, I've seen enough home invasion films with people wearing animal masks that I don't care. And I don't know if that's what affected my viewing of this. But this movie just wouldn't stop, and it kept going. And I don't care if Catherine Isabel's in it. Actually, I hated her.
Yeah, we talked about this, that neither of us are huge fans. So going into it, it's not like we had the, pardon my generalization here, but the fanboy boner over her to sustain us through the film. And yeah, she just screamed and ran a lot and kept making really bad decisions. Like the stereotypical bad women decisions in movies. Like, oh, I'm supposed to stay in this room barred up, but I hear sounds, so I'm going to go see what the hell's going on anyway. Like,
yeah, and I'm just going to keep yelling my husband's name, and then I'm going to turn the flashlight on so people know where I am. And while I'm hiding in the dark, I'm going to yell so they know where I am.
Yeah.
No.
So bad.
It just, and I didn't understand the backstory. I don't know if it's because I didn't care. Like, where did that family come from?
There was no backstory, and I don't know if that was intentional or lazy. But no, there was no backstory. It's just you get dropped into a family in the beginning and their dog getting murdered, which they're lucky that I'm continuing to talk about this film at all. And this guy kidnaps kids that he thinks have bad lives because their parents aren't nice to them. But the issue that I had with it is relative to, you know, what is a bad life? Like, why is he choosing these particular kids? Because the boy that's the catalyst for the film, he's got a pretty fucking nice life. He's just being a whiny brat to his new stepmother, who's doing everything she can to be really nice to him. So there's really, with all the children that could really use some saving from terrible parents, he's really not paying attention. So that alone irritated me.
Well, it didn't make sense. He kept saying that children needed good fathers. This father should get a trophy for Father of the Year.
Yeah, no, he did everything possible to save his kid, including telling his kid he didn't love him anymore, convincingly.
Yeah,
under
and then he
force.
sacrificed himself. He did everything a good father does, and dude with the Mickey Mouse is like, you're not a good dad. Well, all right.
Yeah, no, there's no logic to it. The script is lazy and not particularly well thought out. There's no backstory. You're just dropped into the middle of it with no context. The guy that plays the father, Robin something, is okay. I mean, he's endearing. Catherine Isabel just screams the whole time. The little boy is really obnoxious in the beginning. I just wanted to backhand him. He's okay later, but in the beginning, he's the one that's obnoxious. I feel like the father needs saving from his bratty kid. There's just so much wrong with it, and I don't know. It felt torturous to sit through it. Cause,
you know, the guy, Mr. Mouth, every time he talked, I thought he sounded like Winnie the Pooh on, painkillers or something.
There was definitely some weird Disney thing going on. I mean, the Mickey Mouse head, Mickey Mouse head, and I don't know. They stole stuffed animals and stuffed them on their heads, which, what stuffed animals have heads big enough to fit on a human head?
What the hell? I was actually, a note I wrote down, good thing Liam has giant stuffed animals.
Yeah.
Otherwise, a normal teddy bear head is not going to fit on, I don't know, might fit on my dog's head because she's 11 pounds, maybe.
Yeah.
It was so dumb. And I understood Mr. Mouse was wearing the mask because apparently there's something wrong with his face. We don't know why, because we don't even know what the fuck he's doing there. But why was his wife, and thanks for putting her in the pig mask, by the way, but why was his wife wearing one too? And then the rabbit, who, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and spoil this. So clearly I just got riled up because I sat through this movie. There's a twist at the end involving the rabbit whose mask is literally staple gun to his head, okay? And it's really dumb. It's not a child under that mask, okay? Not.
Yeah, I remember, because I kind of tuned out for a few minutes, and I tuned back in for that, and I was like, what the fuck? Why is that a grown-ass man in there? Like, what's going on? Who is that?
Ryan Murphy wrote this. It's like the preview or the prequel to Freak Show or something. Oh my god.
It's so bad. It's so bad. So yeah, obviously, can't really recommend that one.
I didn't realize how much I hated it until we started talking about it.
Yeah, no, I mean, it'd been in my queue forever, and I kept skipping by it because of the stupid cover. Like, oh, that one. Ugh, can't be bothered. And apparently I was right to keep ignoring it, because, good God, the movie is awful.
2 Knives Down.
Yeah, epically. Ugh.
I feel like if I've learned anything this last week is unless the movie is written by Simon Barrett, don't watch it if there's people wearing animal masks. Yeah. Don't do it.
I think that's general. I mean, it's after a while it stops being scary. And this is the problem with tropes like that, is that one movie succeeds with the trope and then everybody starts doing it. So, how is that going to work long term? Eventually people are going to say, meh, I'm over it. You can keep trying, but it worked once and it's not going to keep working. And this is definitely a very clear case of that, because blech.
Yeah. Like my dog. Blech. All right. Well, thank you, Darklings, for joining us for episode 17 of the Silver Screen Scarehouse. If you'd like to chat with us about any of the movies that we reviewed today, you can find Linnie on Twitter.
I'm at Linnie Loohoo, Linnie Loowho.
Or you can find me on Twitter. I'm at LCFREMONT. And if you have a movie you'd like for us to queue up in the Scarehouse, please drop a comment below or let us know on Twitter. Stay stabby.